the connection of them losing their dream. That's why my one of my mantras is managing expectations, right?
For sure.
Manage your expectations, manage emotions. So most of the time through my texts, through my calls, through them, like, hey, here's the good, here's the bad, here's the, the ups and downs of everything. The only time it gets really, really awkward is when someone's super specific. I want this exact neighborhood. I want these exact specs, and then they won't look anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Sometimes nowadays you're waiting for months.
Yeah, that's me, right? I mean, I'm that buyer, to be honest. Like, everyone's like, when are you going to buy? I'm like, when something comes up in Victoria Woods. Oh, that I like.
Maybe
until then,
maybe one on Malvern.
Yeah, maybe. Mm-hmm. That's like, until then, like, what's like, I only want to live in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I don't want to live in any other neighborhood but that one. All so right. Until that comes up, there's no reason. And then it goes like, then it's like, does the odds of come up the house I actually like? Like, oh, cool. Lisa Andre actually listed something on there the other day.
I saw that, yeah.
And I was like, I looked at it and I was just like, no. She's like, why not? I was like, well, it's gonna need at least $100,000 in repairs. So now I'm into this house for $850 when this house isn't worth $850. Right. So it's like, now I'm going to be upside down in this house for who knows how long, So you've been in 23 years. Yep. Obviously you've gone through the ups and flows. I think that's the one thing that a lot of us, even me personally, like I always tell people, like, I don't know when that market shifts, if I'll survive, which I'm pretty sure I will. But, how have you been able to handle the shifts of the market?
Well, I would say I'm resilient too. Plug too, for you.
What a good name. I don't care what anyone says. Best real estate name out there. Even Tom Ferry said that.
Yeah. I think it's one of the best I've seen. Like especially it's come up twice organically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the market in 2009, I went bankrupt, foreclosed on my house, 2 cars repoed. Like literally we knew things were going. Like my wife's driving out of the garage in her, I forget what she was driving, the SUV or something. And there was a tow truck driver in the corner, like trying to hide. And she's like, rolled down the window. She's like, oh, are you here for the Prius? And he's like, yeah, She's like, yeah, it's been out there for 3 weeks. Keys in the visor. Yeah. Like we got repoed, and we weren't trying to hide. Like, hey, here you go. We embraced it. We just had to. We were making no money, so I did really well in 06, 07, I made $11,000. Yeah, like it was just horrible. But in 2009, I was trying. In 2000, all the way up to 2009, I was doing loans, trying to do everything I could. And then licensing started changing. At that time, in MLS was saying that that's the National Mortgage Lending License. That's what you need to do loans. Was going to have credit checks and going to monitor your credit history. Well, at that time, what do you think my credit was?
Yeah, exactly.
If 350 is the lowest, how could it not be 350? Yeah. Like, I haven't paid anything in years. I'm losing my house. I'm going bankrupt. 2 cars repoed. Like, what else? I've got nothing. My kid was born that year, so that was a good year. 2009 was a good year for that. But I called up my friend Hugo and Sharon, if you know them. They owned Elite REO. They used to own the Remax my mom worked for, and they had our big REO account. Called them and said, hey, it was actually Lisa Rice, and said, hey, can you fit me in, because they're a buyer's agent or whatever, and they hired me as a showing agent. So I had to just throw the ego out the door, because I'd made good money and I was the leader of my pack and did whatever I wanted to do, to now literally getting paid $50 to go show property.
Which is so funny, because I do that for agents, and I'll have agents write me back going like, I'll do it for $200, and I'm like, I know you have no deals.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, seriously.
I know you have no escrows. Like, I laugh. I'm like, I'm not even too good for $50. Like, I'll go show. Like, if I could show this house, I would. Like, I'll go show for $50. Like, I don't like. That's what I think is so funny. It's like, you have nothing. I'll go drive, open a door, get $50 from someone, and I'll go buy dinner.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, there's your dinner. Hey,
there's my dinner. I'm plus for the night.
I did it for that was my whole deal. And the way Hugo and Sherry did it is $50 for me to go on a showing, 1 house or 10 houses. That showing was $50, and then the agent would pay half, and then they would pay half as the team lead. Mm-hmm. And then I'm making zero. Like, my loans are done. I'm not licensed anymore to do loans. I'm 100% real estate agent. So I'm a buyer's agent on their team, but that's very loose. Cool, yeah, because I didn't have any leads coming into me. But I'd make a couple $grand a month doing that. And then my wife still worked at the time. And we clearly weren't paying any bills. We had other cars that we kept, but the other ones we let go. But I just did that, and then worked myself into the lead system and got out of there once I closed enough, kind of got me, we get a couple closings here and there. And then in 2010, I was already involved at IVAR, the local association, and Doug and I, Doug was my mom and dad's neighbor. So he knew me for all these years, although he called me Eric. He still calls me Eric. he had no idea like what my real name was, but I just said at the kind of a group meeting, like, hey, if anybody knows anybody hiring a buyer's agent or whatever, let me know, because I got a couple months and I'm out of the business. And I was applying at Verizon, anywhere that would take me at the time. And then Doug at the end of it was like, hey, I don't like buyer's agents. It's not a thing for my team. I don't really work that well, but I like you. If you want to work with me, let me know. And I said yes. And I literally walked to his office. That was a Monday Parac meeting. I went there Tuesday morning, and he had already had a client there, and he literally gave me a client, Ray and Colette, and he goes, "You're going." Got a house for $200,000. Kept me in the flow of things.
Kept you in the game.
And kept me in the game. So yeah, and then I worked for him for, I think it was 8 years.
I think everyone has to realize this. Like, when in this industry, like, we all go through the valleys. Like, I've been flat broke like 3 times since I got into real estate. Like, made a ton of money. And then, like, it's like you just don't realize you get a little bit too comfortable, and some costs that, like, when I came here and built this place out, that was the last time I went broke, and like, you just don't realize it's like you're spending tons of money, you have not a lot of stuff coming back in, and like, and I think that's the other thing too, is like, you look at all these teams or people, it's like, I always look at each real estate agent's like a workout person. Some are like completely natural, like you just don't. Some do steroids, and you're pumping $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month into Zillow and all these systems and all these stuff, and you look massive, but in the inside you ain't doing that well because you're spending so much money. And yeah, you're probably making a profit, but it's not as much as everyone ever thinks it is. Like, oh, we did $100 million this year, which $100 million would be $2.5 million in real estate and commissions roughly. Like, but then you spent $1.5 million, and then your team was 800, and so cool, all that you walked away with like 200 grand before taxes, like, or you're like kind of in the middle. Like, I think I'm the middle guy. Like, I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I think that's the thing, that it's just, you're gonna have a point where you have no escrows, or you're someone that needs to do 3 escrows or 4 escrows a month to cover the bills of your office or whatever, and maybe only have 1 at this time. It is what you go through those, and then it's like, do you show up the next day when you have nothing? Every
day you're unemployed. That's why I'll give a shout out to the wife. I love my wife is very conservative in all of her planning, so we have money in the bank. We're able to go through those ebbs and flows. I work on referral only. I don't do any mass marketing. I don't work with strangers very often. So my ebb and flow is a little bit more ebb and a lot more flow of, okay, and I'll do this big stuff.
Yeah.
So she's been very resilient, number 3, on dealing with that. Hey, man, we make 80 grand one month.
Yeah.
She's not spending 80 grand.
She
spends exactly what she spent the month before. We made nothing, and the rest goes in the bank, and then we're relatively consistent.
Yeah.
So, thank God we haven't racked up any other debts and stuff. We have car payments and stuff like that, but we're not a debt-ridden family like we were before.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You start getting over your head, and sooner or later the boat will dry up. I think like that's going to happen to a lot of lenders. I think a lot of lenders who
when they say the market changes, from exact experience, it wasn't a change. The faucet turned off.
Yeah.
We thought the water was still running. People thought, oh, it's still going to go. No, I had loan docs signed and sent back by a courier to doors that were chained.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, we already signed docs. And they're like, the company doesn't exist anymore. You're not getting the money. You're, okay, put them through this. They want to cash out, refi, they want to do something else, and nothing. I mean, it was literally you're making money one day and the next day you're not.
Yeah.
So that faucet, but I think we're just too dumb to realize. Everybody was like, oh, we're going to do this. The short sales didn't start for a while because the prices didn't drop as fast. But when that did, everyone had to kind of adjust.
I think that's what we're going to see this year. We'll see what happens with rates going up, but there's going to come a point, if rates keep going up, there is going to be that crossroad where sellers don't want to drop prices and buyers just can't buy. And we are going to see that point where it's just going to be we think we're a slower time now, but it's going to get even slower.